And now for the second story, here in the woods. And this is a special story. I've retold this story and I've rewritten it and adapted it, which is perfectly legitimate. I found this story once written on a wall in Britannia on the side of a church. And it's a lovely story, but there's so many versions of it. And I made my own, of course, but this is as close as I can find to the original story, because I want to give this story as a present to somebody. Somebody who I would really, really like to be spending time with in the next days. Because this man is having his 70th birthday. And he asked me if I could come to his party. This man is a very special man. He lives in the mountains in Kenya, in Karachotta. And his name is Keith Pearson. And I have a huge amount of respect for him, a huge amount of love, if the truth be known. When I was staying with him quite some time ago, one of the nicest days I ever spent with him was wandering around in the forest for his house, Karachotta, which is a retreat and a special place for artists to go, to learn, to be, and to go into the forest. And Keith likes to take people down into the forest and show them the trees and the birds. And I can tell you, the trees and the birds in that forest are quite special. And there are, of course, elephants and other animals, baboons. So Keith, this is for you. I can't be with you on your birthday. I wish I was. I really, really wish I was, but I have to make another contract. I have to contract the gig on the show. I have to do a show. And I can't get out of it. Otherwise I'll be with you. But I tell you what, my friend, I'm with you in my spirit and in my heart, and you know that. So this story is for you. If you keep it for yourself, that's fine. It comes from Brittany. And it's about a monk. Now, a monk is, in my view, a man who is not a religious person, but a spiritual person. It's a person who finds it important to live with the nature. And monks tend to be quiet, they tend to be philosophical, and they most certainly are meditative. And this monk lived quietly in his little cell in a cloister in France on the edge of a wood. I'm seeing it in my mind. In a monastery. One day he went out to collect wood. And he went out to collect wood, and as he was walking through the woods, it was a beech wood much like this, and he was picking up his wood, and he had a good shoulder full of wood for the winter. He stopped for a minute. He sat down on a trunk. And he heard a bird singing. And he thought to himself, how beautiful that is to hear a bird singing. One doesn't hear birds singing very often in the monastery. I'm going to listen to the song of the bird. And he listened and listened and closed his eyes. He thought, I should get up and do something. I should get up and work. I've got to go back. I've got wood to collect. The brothers will be so upset with me. But it is nice to listen to this bird. I'll just listen to the bird for a little while. In fact, when the bird stops, I'll stop listening, and then I'll get up, and I'll go back to the monastery. And so he sat there with his back against the tree, on another tree, his feet in the leaves, listening to the birds singing. It was very beautiful. It was quite close. He closed his eyes and listened and listened and listened. And he tried to imagine what the bird was singing, tried to imagine what the bird was thinking, tried to imagine what the bird was. And then it stopped. And he opened his eyes and stood up and noticed that he had a pain in his back. He'd been sitting there too long and the ground was a bit cold. But not just that. He had a beard, a very long beard. He almost stood on it, and his hair was extremely long. He was a monk, he wasn't supposed to have any hair. And then he looked at his hands, they were so old, and his fingernails so long. And he looked at the wood around him. It was rotten. It was mulch. Some of the trees were much, much bigger than they were when he came into the forest. Some of the trees were fallen. How strange is this? He stood up, his back was still bent, and he realized that he had aged a lot. His bundle was no longer there, and he didn't think he could carry it anyway. So he stumbled out of the forest and went back to the monastery. And when he came to the monastery, he noticed that there were other houses around the monastery, and there was a road leading up to it. It was most odd. When he came to the monastery, feeling very strange, he tried to open the door. He pushed the door, but it wouldn't open. It was locked. He banged on the door. They'd never locked the door here at this monastery. Never. The abbot would never allow that. But it was locked. He banged on the door. And then the door opened, and a young monk stood on the other side. Yes? Please, I'd like to come in. Who are you? And he said his name. He said his name, and he said, I live here. No, 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 said the young monk. We have nobody of that name here. Nobody of that name here at all, but if you would like to come in. By now the young man had seen that this was an old man, and seen that he was cold, and he looked hungry and tired. So he opened the door and said, come on in, old man, come on in. Sit down. And he took him into the dining hall, and he sat him down and gave him bread and gave him milk, and watched him as he ate the bread and drank the milk. That's an old man. Did you say you live here? Yes, yes, he said, I live here. This is my place. I've lived here all my life mostly. I have a cell just down there. Thought the young man, this guy's a little bit gone. A little bit crazy. But there was something about him. So he went to see the abbot. And when he went to see the abbot, he sat down and said, Abbot, there is the most strangest of things going on here. There's a man just knocked at the door, and he wanted to come in. He said he lived here. He told me his name. He was brother da-da-da. Say that again, said the abbot. And he told him the name of the man in the dining hall. That's his name. That's what he said. And he said he lives here. The abbot sat down heavily in his chair. He said, that is the strangest of things, you know. There is a story about one of our brethren who had the same name, who went out one day to collect wood and never came back. Goodness me. Could that be him? Surely not, said the abbot. That was over 100 years ago. Gosh. I better go and see. And the young man and the abbot went into the dining room to see. But the old man was no longer there. He was gone. The bread was gone, the milk was gone, and so was the old monk. Gosh, it makes me think so many things when I tell that story. So here I am in the forest. Now I shall go out. Thank you for listening, and Keith, you have such a wonderful birthday. And to your family and all your friends, to Mo and William there, I send you my love. I send you all of my love. I wish I could be there, but I'm not. So I hug you all from a distance. Have a really, really, really special 70th birthday. Bye-bye, and thank you.